Growing up in Canada, there was 3 channels you watched as a kid. Channel 22, the home of YTV, which is very Nickelodeon based with shows like SpongeBob SquarePants and The Fairly Odd Parents, and on Saturdays, Carlos and Sugar. Channel 39 is the family channel, very Disney based with shows like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Phineas and Ferb. And finally, Teletoon. With shows like Kids Next Door and Total Drama Island, it was more Cartoon Network focused. Recently, it was announced that after 25 years, Teletoon would cease to exist and just become Cartoon Network instead. This made me really sad, because if it wasn't for Teletoon, I wouldn't have experienced one of the greatest shows you probably don't remember. 16 was an animated teen sitcom which premiered on Teletoon on November 4th, 2004. It was created by Tom Gillis and Jennifer Perst? I'm sorry, Jennifer. It was set in Galleria Mall, this fictional mall that was really similar to the West Edmonton Mall, and followed 6 teens as they navigated life, part-time jobs at the mall. And it's this core group, these characters, that make the show what it is, that make it so great. You had Caitlin, who was your classic boy-crazed girl that loved shopping but didn't understand the value of a dollar because she had rich parents.
I love you, Zombie Talon!
Jonesy was your jock type that used the head in between his legs more than the head on his shoulders. Generally this immature guy that couldn't even hold down a job at the mall and almost got a new job every episode.
How many minutes do you think you have left before you get fired?
Well, I haven't exactly been throwing myself into this gig. I'd say maybe 25.
Am I ever going to get served?
Make that 15.
Jude was the stoner. They don't say it, but they make it very obvious.
I hear you, brah. I mean, working at Stick It looks easy, but... Whoa. Wait a second. It is easy.
Jen is sort of the leader of the group, the responsible one, the mature one, the one that's always doing things to build up her resume, to try to get into an Ivy League college, is always thinking about the future. But it also ends up making her a bit of a control freak.
Too bad none of you can work at the penalty box with me, but they never hire first-timers. I swear, it was so worth it to work here this year. Now they'll hire me for sure.
White's the musical one. He's got all the talent, but just lacks the confidence to fully get there. He's a bit self-deprecating, and he loves coffee, which is kind of a personality trait. Quite honestly, I think a lot of us became Wyatt.
Thanks. Information that would have been useful about 2 hours ago.
Nikki's your anti-authority of the group. Cynical, sarcastic, and against the status quo. She's got like a spiky exterior, but if you get on her good side, you see that soft and caring interior. Like Porcupine.
Oh yeah, nothing says maturity like the phrase, "Do you want to gargantusize that, sir?"
You're missing the point. There's a big difference between working for minimum wage and begging your parents for allowance.
Oh, forgive me if I can't see you taking responsibility for anything bigger than your locker combo.
Now, this might sound like a bunch of generic tropes and stereotypes, but the writing grounds them in reality and makes them very relatable. It's that relatability that makes them interesting. It's the type of group where you yourself can see yourself as one of the people in the show, and you have friends that could also fit into some of those similar positions. Like if BuzzFeed made a quiz that was like, tell us your mom's credit card number and the 3 digits on the back, and we'll tell you which 16 character you are, you and all of your friends are giving away your parents' credit card in the computer lab to hopefully get the character that you like. 16 was aimed at preteens and didn't shy away from handling awkward situations, awkward conversations. In fact, this show towed the line so much that 24 episodes didn't even make it to air in the US due to a variety of censorship issues. Some, now when you look back, seemed a little dated for its time. Others, I couldn't wrap my head as to why they wouldn't air in the US.
So if everyone knows about this peephole in the change room, why doesn't every guy apply there?
They do, but they almost never let guys work there.
How'd you get the job then?
I told them I was gay.
Smart.
16 wasn't even an over-the-top show. It made plots revolving around pretty common teenage experiences and issues. My favorite example of this is dating, but specifically dating within your friend group. See, one day Jonesy and Nikki go through a bit of an arc together where they start to have a crush on each other and then eventually decide to get together. And from there, they have the battle of trying to figure out how much of a couple to be around their friend group. Meanwhile, the friend group, the rest of them, are very involved in this relationship. They don't want it to fail. In fact, they're interjecting quite a bit, like at the 3-month anniversary, pressuring them to make it perfect because they don't want their friend group to be destroyed and they have to pick sides if Nikki and Jonesy decide to break up. This group has been together since elementary school, and the thought of them being apart is a scary feeling. And shit, maybe you dated in your friend group. I don't know. Maybe you dated a lot of friends in your friend group. I don't know. I ain't you. The Galleria Mall is this perfect location for the show, which lets a wide variety of supporting characters come in that just won't work the same in a school situation. Like Darth Maul, who at school is the geek, bottom of the social totem pole, but because it's at the mall instead, he has a job in the electronics store and can be on more equal footing with the protagonists of the show. That makes it so they can interact without it being weird or without one group looking down on the other. Ron the Rent-A-Cop has like straight up PTSD, like military veteran, which one, you would never see in a kid's show. And two, lets him bounce around, sometimes being on the same team as the original 6, and at other times being against them. Like through most episodes, he's just trying to keep the peace and stop them being hooligans. But in one special, there's a zombie invasion and they start to work as a team. And you see that military background instantly come in, but you also see him on the same side as the rest of the group.
Oh, that's just perfect.
Listen up. My hand's all played out. I'm done for. Save yourselves.
But
Here are my keys. There is a breaker inside my office. You can turn on the power from there.
no, we won't leave you.
The captain always goes down with his ship. Now run!
Yes, sir.
Good to be back in battle, eh, soldier?
There's a cougar in this show. They don't beat around the bush like Pixar's MILF Factory. She is straight up there with their kid, prowling around looking for a local single stud in her area to go home and beat her bush. Boom, boom, boom. Wayne is the manager of Underground Video, basically a blockbuster for the show. But Wayne is also an adult. He's jaded from the world and about the choices that he's made, which has led him to this point. He's the type of guy that really didn't mesh well with school, but in this case, in this era, it's a system that ended up burning him completely.
You missed the pivotal scene. That's a complete travesty. If I were you, I would demand free rentals for a year.
You would?
Absolutely. You got hosed. Stand up for yourself, for Pete's sake. What are you, a little girl?
Oh, okay. I demand free rentals for a year.
Oh, sure. Now you're outraged. Do you have any spine at all? You know what? You make me sad. You're banned from the store. Get out.
While some things can be a bit of a stretch, like a zombie invasion, there are very real personalities and experiences that you end up encountering as a teenager. You had a friend at one point that probably felt like every breakup was the end of the world and they would be single forever before the next day moving on to a different crush. You had a friend that was insanely goal-oriented and driven to the point that it was really unhealthy, that they couldn't see that they needed some balance in their life to let loose and relax and let off some steam. You probably had a friend that was straight up stoned all the time, but was a good guy even though the grades didn't reflect it. You probably related to one of these characters and grew up to either become that character or grow into another character in the show. And that's the magic of the show. There's so many different personality types and traits and things that you can see in yourself through the show. When I was a kid, I always loved Jude. I thought he was the coolest. And as an adult now, I feel like I relate more to Wyatt more than ever. The show made me excited to grow up and go work at the mall. And I did that. I worked at Banana Republic. It felt like when I watched 16, I was looking into the future, what I was about to get into, and I was so excited to experience it. 16 straight up bombed in the US. They were missing shows, and by the time they were airing episodes, they were airing them out of order. Now, it wasn't SpongeBob levels of popular here in Canada, but it did air all 94 episodes. So why does it matter that Teletoon's leaving? Because it was one of the producers of this show. Teletoon had a hand in making a lot of original content at the time for Cartoon Network. Unlike YTV and Family Channel, it wasn't just a disguise for something else, but Teletoon meshed the two together because it was creating original programming for here in Canada and then giving it to the US audience as well. When I heard that Teletoon was gone, it felt like another change in a world that is moving at just an insane speed. It was a reminder that I'm closer to 36 than I am 16. It made me wish I could just slow down for a moment and enjoy the world, or just enjoy the simpler times that I had when I was younger. Because when you look back, the problems that you have were just so simple and really didn't matter, even though they felt so huge. I watched episodes of 16 to get ready for this video, and I couldn't help but notice the theme song gave probably one of the best pieces of advice that you could ever get growing up. As a kid, I never wanted to listen to it, but listening now, I wish I did. It sounds stupid to say, but I'm gonna miss Teletoon being around. It was different than the rest of the other stations. It tried to make original content, and it made content and shows that'll stick with me for the rest of my life. And throughout a lot of this video and a lot of the research, I just wish I could go back one more time and just not think about everything else going on, because every day it feels like there's another huge issue, another something going on, another doom and gloom reason to be around. And back then, it just felt like it was easy. You'd go to your rec room, you'd turn on 16 and enjoy some cartoons and have a laugh. I want that again.
I'm 16, life is sweet when you're growing up so fast. You gotta make the good times last.